How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Blake Check. In today's episode, my wife and I are going on our first EV road trip in my 2013 Tesla Model S. My 2013 Tesla Model S 60 started off with a max range of 208 miles. It's about 8 years old now, so that's degraded to about 191 miles of max range. Right now it is charging, so I'm hoping to get a few more miles charging here at this 110 outlet, but I'm thinking that we're going to be okay because we're taking the I-10 from Goodyear, Arizona to Carlsbad, California, and there's several supercharger stations. There's supercharger stations about every 70 miles, so I'm not too worried about that, but I would be lying if I told you that I wasn't concerned at all. The way I see it, it could go one of two ways. This could be a really boring video where we have a really successful trip, or we get stranded, and that makes for really good content for you guys to watch. So I guess if you've read the title, maybe you have an idea of what's going to happen, but stay tuned so I can find out how it goes. As I mentioned, we're going to Carlsbad, California, and we are taking the I-10 west pretty much the entire way, so there are tons of supercharging stations between here and there. There's about one supercharging station every 70 miles or so, and so as you guys know, when you plug in a destination, you're taking a road trip in your Tesla, it plots out supercharger stations between you and your final destination automatically. My car is telling me to stop in Quartzsite, Arizona for our first charge, and then for the second charge to stop in Rancho Mirage. Both of those are superchargers, so that's good news. Looks like at most we'll be sitting and charging for 55 minutes if we follow these instructions. I prefer not to do that. So what I think I'm gonna do is edit this trip here. I know that there is a supercharger station between here and Quartzsite. There's at least one in Buckeye, Arizona. So we'll probably add that to the trip, and hopefully by doing that, cut things down just a little bit. So yeah, stay tuned. It looks like the total trip is about 343 miles, 7 hours, which is about an hour and a half longer than this trip usually takes. If you guys were doing the math, that makes sense based on this here, 55 minutes of charging in the first stop and then 35 minutes of charging at the second stop. So we'll get to our final destination around 10 p.m. tonight because we're not leaving for another hour. So 10:30, 11 o'clock is when we'll get to Carlsbad, California. So yeah, stay tuned. Hope everything goes well. Like I said, I'm a little nervous, but after seeing this and kind of getting an idea of what our route looks like and how many superchargers are between us and our final destination, I'm not so concerned anymore. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right, time to hit the road. Got wifey here too. We are taking off, like I said, on our road trip to Carlsbad, California. We're starting off with a max range, or not a max range, but a total range of 162. And I'm going to go ahead and start navigating to the first supercharger. Like I said, I'm adding this additional stop in hopes of shortening our trip a little bit and giving us a little more buffer, a little more wiggle room. And so we'll head there first. Alright, so we just parked at the Buckeye Superchargers, and looks like it might take a little longer than I anticipated to get to a full charge. But you know what, we're actually just aiming for 90%, I think, because I know that the charging speed tapers off as you get towards the top. So look at that, 290. Let's see if that makes... Yeah, that's much better. 15 minutes is good. I am a little perplexed at the charging speed here at the supercharger station. 20 kilowatts is much slower than what most superchargers are rated for. So, not sure what's going on here, but there's only one other Tesla here charging, and it's way over there, so I don't know. Maybe this one's limited to 20 kilowatts for some reason. Maybe there's some sort of problem, but I don't know. 15 minutes isn't a big deal. Maybe we'll run into Carl's Jr. or something and grab a bite or use the restroom. But yeah, we should be back on the road in just a second. So as you guys know, I try to be as informative as I can with my videos, but the reality is I'm learning as I go and trying my best to simplify things in a way that's easily understandable. Even on this trip, I'm learning new things about my car and about charging in general. One of the things I noticed on this trip was that there are a few variables which impact charging rates at supercharger stations. So the first variable is the max charge rate that your vehicle is capable of. Just like your cell phone, EVs are capable of different charging rates. For instance, just a few years ago, it was normal for a phone to take several hours to charge. Nowadays, most phones can charge to like 75% in just 30 minutes. The same can be said for EVs. As battery tech continues to advance, so do charging rates. The max charge rate, for instance, on my 8-year-old Tesla Model S is supposedly about 100 kilowatts or roughly 250 miles per hour, even though I've never seen my car charge that fast. But the max charge rate for a new Tesla Model S is something crazy like 225 kilowatts or like 1,000 miles per hour, which is nuts. So the second variable is max charge rate that the supercharger is capable of. So just like battery tech, supercharger tech has advanced to accommodate for faster charging and longer range. As a result, some of the older chargers in Tesla's supercharging network can only charge at up to like 74 kilowatts, but some newer ones are capable of about 250 kilowatts. So actually, when you're plotting destinations in your Tesla for road trips, just like the one I'm on, your Tesla will tell you details about the superchargers that it wants you to stop at along the way. And it'll tell you stuff like the max charge rate for each supercharging station, what percentage your vehicle will be at when you arrive at each station, and about how long it's going to take for you to charge up to the percentage that is optimal to reduce the amount of time that your total trip should take. So the third variable is battery temperature. I'm not going to spend too long on this subject because I don't know too much about it, to be honest with you. Batteries tend to charge faster when they're warm, and we'll just have to chalk that up to physics. And the fourth and final variable that I'll talk about is battery percentage. Generally speaking, the lower your battery percentage is, the faster you'll charge. As you recuperate charge, the charge rate will taper off logarithmically. This is also due in part to physics, but also due to software as an intentional protective measure meant to preserve your battery's health. So I'm sure there's more variables that impact charging rate that I just didn't go over because I didn't know about them. So if you can think of anything that I should have covered but didn't, go ahead and drop those in the comment section below. I'm just learning this stuff as I go along, and really, most of the useful information that I have learned about my Tesla and about Tesla's supercharging network, I've learned from other members of the Tesla community. So thank you guys for that. Thanks for your patience. These are the types of things that I wish I knew before I bought my first Tesla, so I hope it was at least a little bit helpful for you. All right, we just arrived at our second supercharging location here in Quartzsite, Arizona. Let's see how fast we're charging. That's more like it. So if you remember, back in Buckeye, we were charging at like 20 kilowatts. So doing much better here. So it looks like it wants to charge us up to, I think 90% again. I'm not sure. But yeah, this time it's going to take like 55 minutes. So yeah, that's not great. Fortunately, good old Carl's Jr. here. But yeah, what do you think about hanging out at Carl's Jr. for an hour?
You said it'd be 30 minutes.
I did no such thing. Okay. All right, we're about to arrive at our second supercharging destination. So we're pulling into Indio, California, and I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the most nervous that I've been on this trip so far. I have never had my battery be as low as 14%. I've never seen it. Oh, it just jumped up to 15%, probably because we're coasting, we're going downhill, so that's cool. Yeah, I've never seen the battery bar go orange like that. So it's just a hunch, but I bet after it goes below 10, it probably turns red to let you know, yeah, get to a charge station as soon as possible. But yeah, kind of nervous about this part, but fortunately the charge station is just 7 miles away, so we're still doing fine. But yeah, we're cutting it close here. All right, and we just barely made it to the Indio charge stations. Have you guys ever seen this? I have never come up to a supercharger station and found the charge cable on the ground, so that's new. Let's get that good charge juice. Let's do a little quick thing. I don't know what that's about. Gotta love that free supercharging. All right, so yeah, we've driven through Indio, California plenty of times on our way to Carlsbad, but never have I gotten out, looked around, walked around. But yeah, this looks pretty familiar. It kind of reminds me of some places in Arizona, actually. My wife, Jess, she was saying that this place reminds her of Chandler, Arizona. So she's looking up housing prices because I wouldn't mind moving here. Alright, so update. Looks like it's only going to take 25 minutes for the Tesla to charge to 90% while we're sitting here, so it's a lot better than what we've seen so far. So we figured take some time to walk through this Marshalls. We love our Marshalls. Love those Marshall prices, right babe?
I'm much happier here.
She says she's much happier here. So Tesla, if you are watching, if you ever happen to watch any one of my videos, highly recommend putting your chargers next to Marshall stores because we will personally buy the entire store every time we have to stop to charge. All right, we are in Cabazon. I don't know. Yeah, go ahead and give me a hard time in the comments about how I pronounce that. My bad. But this is our last charging point, and looks like we're only going to be here for about half an hour to charge, and then we'll be at our final destination. So this is the first supercharger I've ever been to where the pillars, I don't know what to call them, the superchargers themselves are like positioned on the back end of the parking spot. So I guess it makes it easier so you don't have to back in. But yeah, I can't really imagine a different reason for setting them up this way, except for convenience. So yeah, most of the chargers that we've been to have not only been super available, meaning there's just a bunch of open spots, but also super clean. So props to the California residents to keeping their supercharger stations nice and tidy. But yeah, looking forward to ending the trip. We've been on the road since what, I think it was like 3:45, right? So it is 8:52 now. Looks like it's still gonna take us 2 hours to get to the condo. That's where we are, and that's where we need to go. So yeah, can't really imagine how just 30 minutes of charge right now is going to give us enough range to get all the way to where we need to go. But I've trusted the car this long, I will continue to trust it. But yeah, we are actually charging in at about 74 kilowatts right now, which is the fastest that I've seen it charge this trip. That's great. It's already going down. I'm sure it's just because the battery's warm since we just stopped driving, and it's pretty low. It was at like 16% when we stopped. So yeah, those are great conditions to make the charging faster. But yeah, I'm getting kind of tired. We're nice and cozy here in the Model S though. We got some blankets. We've grabbed snacks along the way, and we've just been listening to our favorite podcasts, and it hasn't felt like it's been a super long trip. Actually, these supercharger stops have broken it up nicely, but honestly, I'm kind of at the point where I'd like to just get there. So I am kind of bummed to see that we still have 2 hours to get to the condo, but that's going to put us there at like 11, so not too bad. Alrighty. And the long journey finally comes to an end. I know it's dark out, you can't really see much, but we are pulling up to our final destination with about 22% charge left. So I don't really know what the charging situation is going to be like here. Hoping that there's a 110 outlet that I can access in our parking spot. Well, we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, we did it. That was the whole point of this trip, was to see if we could, and we can. We drove, I think, almost 8 hours total, right? It was like 8 hours at the end of it. So it's usually 5.5 at most, and I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about it. I don't know if saving a few bucks on gas is worth the extra 3 hours. So yeah, that's something for us to consider for next time. I'll wrap this up in just a minute. Thanks for watching this far. We're almost done. All right, so that's going to do it for our first ever electric vehicle road trip. As you guys know, we did the entire trip of about 343 miles from Goodyear, Arizona to Carlsbad, California in our 2013 Tesla Model S, which was rated for 208 miles of max range when it was new. Now it's getting about 191 miles of max range on a full charge. So as a result of that, we had to stop and charge a total of 3 times last night on the way here to Carlsbad, California. Now we made it here successfully, so that was the question really, was could we do it? And we did. The problem was that we had to stop and charge 3 times for about 35 minutes each on average on the way here. So we turned what is usually a 5.5 hour trip into 8 hours. So if you're doing the math, that means it took us about 2.5 hours to charge on the way here. So that begs the question, is taking a used Tesla Model S on a road trip a viable option? Is that something that you can do feasibly? And to answer that, in short, yes, it's doable. The question I have for you guys is, are you guys willing to spend an extra 2.5 hours on your trip of just a short trip, really, just 343 miles, 2.5 hours? That seems like a lot of time to spend charging. So as you guys probably know, newer Teslas, like the Model 3s and Ys that I'm surrounded by, they charge a lot faster. So that's something else to consider. I didn't think about that when I bought my used Tesla Model S, the charging rate. So older Teslas like mine, they tend to take a little bit longer to charge. So just think about that. So final verdict, would I recommend taking a used Tesla Model S on a long road trip? I'm going to say yes, with an asterisk. For a short trip, like a 2 or 3 day trip like we're doing right now, I don't think I would take this car again. 8 hours there and back is a long time to spend just for a short trip. But on longer trips, for like a week or so, maybe. So I guess we'll see in the future if we decide to take the Model S on any more trips. As you guys know, once I hit 1,000 subscribers, we're looking at upgrading to Tesla Model 3 Performance. So those charge a lot faster than this old Tesla Model S. So we'll see how that goes. I'm sure I'll be more likely to take that on longer road trips. But yeah, for now, I don't know. I don't think we're going to take this one on too many more road trips. We do have a regular gasoline engine car, a Hyundai Santa Fe that normally just sits in our garage. It's a great road trip car, but again, it's fueled by gasoline, so it's going to get us here faster. So until we get that Model 3 performance, we're probably going to take that on our road trips. So help me get to 1,000 subscribers so we don't have to, so that we can replace that with Tesla Model 3 performance. But yeah, that's going to do it for this episode of Blake Check. I'm sure maybe some of you guys were hoping that I'd get stranded on the side of the road on the way here to Carlsbad, California. That didn't happen. We made it here in one piece. At a few of the charging stations, we got down pretty low to under 10% charge in a few situations. So that was a little scary, but we made it in one piece. And if you've watched this far, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. But until next time, this has been Blake Check, and that's a wrap.